Our next investigation takes us to Kent in the southeast of England, where for nearly a decade, a former tuberculosis sanitarium has sat abandoned. With the tuberculosis epidemic becoming ever more widespread, and after hearing about a fine sanatorium being built in Germany, King Edward VII decided to go one step further and create the future of such institutions. He created a competition whereby architects and doctors alike would design their own sanatorium, the winner being awarded £900 and having their project come to fruition. Of the 180 entries, the winner was a design by Dr. Arthur Latham, working alongside architect Augustus William West. The plans were unlike anything seen before, and for the time were state-of-the-art, being based around the needs of the patients, rather than for any stylistic or architectural aesthetic reasons. Their design highlighted the importance of an open, clean, dust-free environment, banning entirely right-angled corners due to them collecting dirt, with even door panels having curved edges. There was to be no chapel and no open-air porches, again due to the risk of spreading infections. The importance of sunlight was also made abundantly clear, with large south-facing windows opening into rooms, giving patients plenty of natural light, something that was believed to be extremely beneficial to health. Despite its revolutionary design and winning the King's competition, in a twist of fate, Latham and West building was not selected for construction, possibly due to it being slightly too out of the norm for the time, and instead a design by Henry Percy Adams, a renowned hospital architect, was chosen and opened in 1906 in Midhurst, Kent. All was not lost, however, as less than a month after its opening, Princess Helena, the King's sister, laid the foundation stone for a royal and national sanatorium in Benenden to the design of Latham and West, and by 1907 was opened, taking in its first patients. The sanatorium was funded by the Post Office Union movement to offer post office employees controlled costs during the devastating tuberculosis epidemic, something that many workers were extremely susceptible to due to working around the country and coming into daily contact with many people carrying the disease. By 1913, hundreds of people had been admitted to the sanatorium, the vast majority of whom made a full recovery or their conditions were greatly improved. Patients could spend anywhere from a few weeks to many years within the building, and in many cases, despite a poor prognosis, the vast majority of patients had a positive experience during their time at the sanatorium. So in the early 1900s right through to the 1920s, whilst this place was primarily operating as a tuberculosis hospital, we're fortunate enough to have quite a few records and letters of people that actually were patients in here, and for the most part they said it was a fairly reasonable place to live. Obviously a hospital's never going to be the most joyous place because the only reason you'd be in there is if something's wrong. But certainly it wasn't horrible, bearing in mind some people spent a few weeks here, some people spent years here, but there was never anything that said that they necessarily really disliked being here. Of course, I suppose, being in a place where everyone's suffering from the same illnesses, and if you have someone a couple of doors down from you that dies of the same illness you've got, obviously that will strike a little bit of fear into you. May spur you on to want to, recover, or it may sort of, put a bit of doubt in your mind, will I recover from this illness? So there's obviously a lot of emotions that have gone on within this building, and again, that's why we often really try and learn about the history of places before we investigate them. The prime reason being is if we're going into a place and there's obviously been patients here, we know what most of them were suffering from, and if we can get ourselves and try and empathise with that kind of emotion and that kind of energy, then hopefully that might lead us to be able to build up some kind of communication with any residents of any people that used to be here. In 1923, membership extended to include the whole of the civil service, with thousands of patients passing through its doors. Sadly, some never leaving the grounds alive. Overall, there's not a huge amount of information on any potential hauntings or ghost sightings at this place. However, I'm aware that a number of paranormal investigators have come here and they say they've experienced various things. I'm assuming there's probably disembodied voices, maybe things moving. We've already had a door shut on its own, which I think was caused by the wind because there's so many open windows. It is quite a windy day out there.
Let's
got a bit of the wind, I'd have thought. So it'd be interesting to see what we can experience here. Certainly being a sanatorium and a hospital, people would have died here, undoubtedly, quite a few I should imagine. And yeah, it's been in operation for a long time. What do you think about just walking around here?
It feels too new still. Like the way everything is like set out, it still feels really clinical and new. Obviously it's derelict and there is damage, and it is certainly creepy in areas. So I'm hopeful that, you know, when it gets dark we'll certainly start to feel more. I mean, there's been a few things where like I think I've heard something and I realise it's like dripping.
Yeah.
So it could be a hit and miss.
It's a strange one to walk around because usually when we go to abandoned places they've been derelict for years. I mean, this has only been abandoned the last 5 years, so it's slightly unusual going round a hospital that with a little bit of tidying up could be a functioning hospital. It's just kind of strange seeing that. But yeah, I think, like I say, out of anywhere we've ever been, I think we've just got as much potential here to experience something as we have anywhere else. So I think it'll be a good night.
Fingers crossed.
Is there anybody in this building with us at the moment? Anybody in here? My name's Luke and this is Sophie.
Hello.
Is there anyone in here? Can you come towards my voice, please? Don't mean you any harm, we're here to help.
Just to clarify, that's dripping, I believe.
There are loads of dripping sounds in here. Did you used to be a patient here? That's the sound of the wind.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, I thought it was someone talking, but it's definitely the wind. Sorry, I can't see where I'm going. I remember one of the other groups I saw that investigated here said the storeroom they thought was quite eerie. Oh, no, maybe it wasn't that storeroom. Maybe it was a different storeroom.
That was a door closed.
That was definitely a door shutting.
Scary. Was that blowing in the wind?
Yeah. What way do we go?
Go that way. Oh no, it's around there.
Is there anybody in here? Just stop here for a bit and just see
Yeah.
if there's any areas where you go, like any noises anywhere. Is there anyone at all here in the hospital, in the sanatorium with us? Maybe you're a patient, maybe you work here. Whoever you are, could you come over towards myself and Sophie? We'd just like to talk to you, please. We're both visitors here. Or if there's anything you can do to let us know that you're around us at all. Make a noise, let us hear you speak. Come and talk to us.
Walk down the stairs. Even though it is dark and creepy and whatever, I don't know if it actually feels haunted yet. Like I don't know.
No, I don't. I've not felt anything particularly, like there's anything there at the moment. I think any apprehension at the moment is just because of how it all looks and the sounds of the rain and the wind at the moment. Our investigation at the sanatorium was extremely challenging, primarily due to poor weather, with strong winds battering the ageing building, creating constant noises, combined with relentless dripping from the rain seeping through the floors. After an hour and a half with no break in the weather in sight, we decided to call it a night. We returned a week later, this time with James and Lauren, and were greeted to much better weather, so began our investigation in one of the oldest sections of the hospital.
Try calling out again, but we'll just stand.
Yeah, should we go lights out? Lights off.
Yeah.
You do that.
Donut.
I was like, yeah, just waiting for someone to turn the torch.
Is there anybody up here with us? Or is there anyone at all in the hospital that's around here? Could you come and speak to us, please? My name's Luke, this is Sophie.
I'm James.
I'm Lauren. We don't mean you any harm. We just want to try and communicate with you.
Can you tell us your name? Introduce yourself.
It's like deathly quiet. It's not even like car sounds, plane sounds, trees sounds.
There's anyone down there? Come upstairs with us. Anyone at all? Don't mean you any harm being here. We just come to visit the hospital and we'd like to talk to people who either work here or live here or reside here. And see what you think of the place.
Can you show us you're up here with us in some way? Maybe move something or make a sound?
With no responses, we moved on throughout the rest of the complex before we came upon one of the old operating theatres and decided to spend some time in there. We've got some equipment around here. Are you able to come towards that and interact with it? Place a box down there, it's got a little green light on. If you're able to move around that or maybe even knock it off the table, that would be fantastic. Or if there's anything else in here that you can do. device in my left hand here. Should go out there then if the sounds.
Just wonder if we'll be able to hear anything better, get all the doors open.
So we've been here probably about 2 or 3 hours now, I should imagine, and we've walked around most of the complex, and we've not been anywhere where we've felt anything or we've really experienced anything whatsoever. So we thought for the last little bit we're just going to stay in the oldest part of the hospital and just really try and push it, just stay here for a little while, call out and see if we hear anything, see anything, or anything comes to us. Do you know that, sir? So we've spent the last few hours walking around the Benenden Hospital. I'm sure you've probably watched us, you've seen us. You know that we don't mean any harm being here or have come here to cause any trouble, but we would like to talk to anyone that might be here. Got a device with a little green light set up on the floor down there. If you're able to move around that, if you can even move it somehow, that would be fantastic. I've got a device in my hand, which hopefully you might be able to interact with. You see if I move my hand around this aerial, we get some lights on and a horrible sound. Or if you can make a noise anywhere, show yourself to us. Anything at all. Can you speak to us? Can we hear your voice?
I might even stand across the way, face back.
Yeah. Did you die here? Somewhere in the hospital? Did you not make it out here alive? Sure you could make a noise somewhere. If you don't want to come around us, if you want to be left in your own area, then make a noise somewhere else that we can hear. Maybe shut a door. Can you move something? So it's getting on for sort of 1 in the morning now. We've been here, since about 9-10 o'clock?
Yeah.
We've been pretty much to every building on site, minus a couple. And to be honest, everywhere we've been, there's not been a single area, a single room we've felt anything, we've felt like there's something there, a presence, or experienced anything. And that's quite interesting to me, because obviously when Sophie and I came last time, we weren't sure really what was going on because of simply how much wind noise there was, how many doors slamming in the breeze and, you know, dripping sounds. We weren't really sure whether it was anything going on here or not. So coming back and confirming that actually maybe there isn't anything going on here was certainly quite interesting. And the thing that interests me the most about that is that the amount of people that passed away here and what the building was actually used for, and you think this would be the place, the number one place that would be haunted, and obviously 2 investigations here and we've not experienced a single thing. So for whatever reason, yeah, it's quite bizarre. The place you think would be haunted, nothing really appears to be going on, but certainly a fascinating place to have been able to have a look around, certainly a really interesting explore and an interesting history to the place. But as for ghosts, It really doesn't seem like there's an awful lot going on here.
It's one of those weird ones where, from the outside and looking at the scale of the place, the history of the place, what it was used for, the amount of people that died here, you would, like Luke said, you think this would be a massive hotspot for activity, but we've been here 3-4 hours wandering around, not even a squeak of anything. Not like the most we've heard is like that bits falling out of the trees on the roof.
It's not even like building movement noises. Nothing.
Yeah, the building's so
There's no, like,
stable.
cooling
You're not
down.
you don't get creaks. You don't get like knocks or anything. I mean, things that would kind of throw in like confusion as to whether it's activity or not. But at least there would be something even happening. It's just absolutely dead.
So, this being mine and Luke's second time here, I feel more at ease this time than I did the first time. The first time we came, I think the weather made a difference on like my opinion of how it was going to be. Like I thought, it's really dark, it's really dingy, there's lots of dripping noises. I thought we were going to be quite sort of spooked out, but after tonight, it literally just feels like it's a really old derelict building. And both of the boys already said, like it for its age and its history, it should have activity, but it doesn't, and it's a really strange thing. I mean, maybe we've just come on a night, or 2 nights when nothing is happening, or maybe it isn't haunted at all, but either way it feels like a really good explore, something I don't think I would ever do normally.